You've done this before. You check your phone. Nothing. You check again. Still nothing. The message hasn't arrived. The results aren't in. Nobody is called. Nothing has happened. And somehow, the silence feels worse than the bad news you were expecting. Why? Why can waiting hurt more than knowing? You'd think certainty would make you feel safe. But your brain doesn't actually want good news. It wants an answer, because the moment you don't know what's coming, your brain starts building possibilities, some hopeful, some terrifying, and it treats every one of them as if it could become real, which raises a strange question. Why would your brain rather experience pain than uncertainty? The answer begins with something most people never realize. Your brain wasn't built to experience reality. It was built to predict it. That feeling isn't weakness. It isn't overthinking. It isn't anxiety creating problems that don't exist. It's your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. Because despite what most people believe, your brain doesn't experience reality. It experiences predictions about reality. Right now, as you're watching this, your brain is already trying to predict the next sentence, the next word, the next image, the next sound. Every second, it builds a model of the world, a running simulation of what it expects to happen next. Neuroscientists call this predictive processing. Your brain doesn't wait for reality. It tries to arrive before reality does. Every prediction it makes is compared to what actually happens. When prediction and reality match, the model becomes stronger. When they don't, your brain registers something called a prediction error, a signal that says, something unexpected happened. Prediction errors help you learn. They help you adapt. They're why you can catch a falling object before you consciously decide to move. Why you sense tension in a conversation before anyone says a difficult word. But uncertainty creates a completely different problem. Because uncertainty doesn't simply create more prediction errors. It prevents prediction itself. When you genuinely don't know what's coming, your brain can't build a reliable model. It can't simulate the future. It can't compare expectation with reality. It can't reduce uncertainty. The entire system begins to fail. And for a brain built to predict, that feels like danger. Not because something bad has happened, but because the mechanism designed to protect you can no longer see what's ahead. That is what uncertainty really is. Not the absence of information, the collapse of prediction. Think about the last time you waited for an answer. A medical result, a job interview, a message that never arrived. Nothing was happening. And yet, your body behaved as if something already had. Your thoughts kept returning to the same question. You checked your phone again. You replayed conversations in your head. Why? Because your brain wasn't waiting. It was searching. In 2016, researchers at University College London designed an experiment that revealed something remarkable. Participants played a simple game. Some rocks hit a snake. Turning over the wrong rock resulted in a mild electric shock. Sometimes the probability of a snake was known. Sometimes it wasn't. The researchers expected people to be most stressed when they knew a shock was coming. They weren't. Stress peaked when the probability was uncertain, not when pain was certain, when pain was possible. Your brain wasn't afraid of pain. It was afraid of not knowing. Now bring all of this a little closer. Because this isn't really about experiments. It's about you. You send a message. No reply. 5 minutes become 20. 20 become an hour. Nothing has changed. Except your mind. It starts asking questions nobody else can hear. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset? Did something happen? Should I send another message? Should I leave it alone? The conversation hasn't continued. But inside your head, It never stopped. Or maybe it's a job interview. You leave feeling confident for a moment, then the waiting begins, and suddenly your certainty starts dissolving. You replay every answer, every expression, every handshake, not because you know something went wrong, because you don't know. A medical test, an unanswered phone call, a relationship that suddenly feels different. Notice what all of these moments have in common. Nothing has actually happened yet. But emotionally, your brain behaves as if it already has. This is the hidden cost of uncertainty, not the outcome, the rehearsal. Your brain begins simulating futures that don't exist, one after another, some hopeful, some catastrophic, and each one demands an emotional response. You don't just imagine losing the job. You feel the disappointment. You don't just imagine the diagnosis. You feel the grief. You don't just imagine the relationship ending. You begin mourning something that hasn't happened. Your body doesn't wait for reality. It reacts to possibility. This is why uncertainty is so exhausting. Your brain isn't living in the present anymore. It's living in futures that may never exist, trying to solve problems that haven't arrived, searching for answers that don't yet exist. Because a prediction machine without a prediction doesn't stop running. It starts inventing them. By now, this should seem obvious. Your brain treats uncertainty as a threat. It activates your stress system. It keeps you awake. It keeps you searching. It rehearses futures that don't exist. So here's the question. If uncertainty feels so unbearable, why do we keep coming back to it? Why do we refresh our inbox, check our phones, pull the lever one more time, scroll just a little further, when every one of those actions begins with not knowing? Because the same brain that fears uncertainty also depends on it. This is one of the strangest discoveries in modern neuroscience. For years, scientists believed dopamine was the chemical of pleasure. But that isn't what the evidence showed. Robert Sapolsky and many other researchers found that dopamine doesn't reach its highest levels when a reward arrives. It peaks when the reward might arrive, not certainty, possibility. When a reward becomes completely predictable, the dopamine response begins to fade. But make that same reward uncertain. Deliver it only sometimes, without warning, and the response becomes dramatically stronger. Decades earlier, psychologist B.F. Skinner observed exactly the same pattern. Animals didn't work hardest when every action was rewarded. They worked hardest when the reward was unpredictable. Today, that same mechanism is everywhere. Every notification, every social media feed, every unread message, every email refresh, every slot machine, every maybe. Each one begins with uncertainty. Each one promises an answer. And every answer teaches your brain one dangerous lesson. Keep searching, because the next prediction might finally be the right one. Your brain has spent millions of years learning one lesson. Predict what comes next. Reduce uncertainty. Stay alive. Every mechanism you've seen in this video, from prediction to stress to dopamine, exists for that single purpose: to close the gap between what is happening now and what might happen next. But there is one problem. The future is the only thing your brain can never fully know. Every decision, every relationship, every opportunity exists beyond prediction. Certainty was never available in the first place. So the next time your mind starts rehearsing futures that haven't happened, remember what it's really searching for. Not the perfect outcome, an answer. Because your brain would often rather feel pain than not know. How much of your life has already been shaped by your need to escape it?